Okay. Hold on. Let me I have technology here. Let me pull up this here, this Garage Band. Then I'll drum up you a beat, and then we'll be good, right?
Oh no, we need a beat now.
Okay. uh, uh, podcast. Yo. It's Carl line.
What was that?
That was the beat.
That wasn't a beat. That was
freeform beatbox. You wouldn't understand.
freeform beatbox.
Welcome. It's your boy Grizzly Bear, and I'm joined by feral giraffe.
Troy is the giraffe. I'm not a giraffe.
Okay, the hippo.
Yeah, that's better.
uh, hippo. Yeah. Welcome. Today is the 10th of February, and we're on episode 11 of the podcast.
It really is the 10th of February.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay, just making sure. I pulled that from memory.
Did you actually?
Yeah, I don't remember the date. So we've been gone for a bit. I think I don't remember when we last did one. I think it was 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks, maybe 3.
Well, Carl had that break. We might. I don't know if you'll get into that or not, but
and then we also had Banjo Night.
Yeah, Banjo Night.
Or not Banjo.
I think we already talked about Banjo. Yeah, we already talked about Banjo. So let's talk about your week then, since we're at it.
My last 2 weeks. All right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess last week was an interesting week. I took a week off to the basic. Let me find some music back again. But basically, to put a long story short, it was basically an attempted week to try and like find myself in a sense. I was in a not happy place for just a brief moment, and there wasn't anything wrong or anything like specific bothering me or whatnot. It's just that like it got to a point where I just was not okay for some reason. So I asked most people, I'm like, you know what, this isn't okay, what should I do? And everybody like unanimously was like, you should just go take a break for a week. So
Who'd you ask? Because I know you asked me, and I was like, I diagnosed with break.
I asked you, I asked Katie, I asked my parents and my brother, and they were all just like, yeah.
It's cool to hear that your parents and your brother are supportive of you streaming, though, and realize you do need a break. You know?
Yeah. So that's basically the bad, unhappy side of why I was gone for a whole week. But on the plus side, I did some different stuff. I don't. Do I think my break was essentially successful? Not as much as I would have liked it to be, but I did get a lot of different, unique, different stuff. Different stuff. Different. How many times I can say different? I tried to make the week as best as I can for stuff that I fully wanted to commit myself to do. So I tried exercising for a little bit, and I tried just playing video games, you know, just sitting down and just been like playing video games, like no stream, nothing bothering me. And it was at that point I realized when I was playing video games that I have a miserable time of relaxing. Like, it's really actually bad. I can apparently not sit still and enjoy a video game to save my life. And I'm so thankful for streaming now these days, because it's like, God, what else? Like, it's different like when I hang out with friends and play like Counter-Strike or something like that. Because, I don't know, it's just like the feeling of multitasking and not being able to do it is kind of weird. I feel like a lot of what I do in my life these days is essentially multitasking to a degree. You know, like when I'm editing videos, I'm maybe, I don't know, watching a video on YouTube while I'm editing, or while I'm practicing, I might throw on some other videos to watch, or if there's a stream going on that one of the other people of Hexagon Inc. are doing, I will throw that on. But I did accomplish one thing that I set out to do, and that's to do something completely different, and that was watch movies all week.
So what'd you watch?
I watched Scott Pilgrim.
Mm-hmm.
I watched, Ocean's 11.
Oh, wait, is it 11 or 12 that has the laser dance scene?
It wasn't 11.
It must be 12.
Wait, way to spoil it, man.
Sorry, it's just a good scene.
I watched the first Bourne movie.
It's been a while.
It was all right. I wasn't like, man, this is the best thing ever. It was just all right. Wasn't my favorite cup of tea. I watched Jack Reacher.
I've never heard of that.
I also watched. What else did I watch? I know I watched one more movie. The Truman Show. That was the other movie I watched.
Right, that's a depressing movie.
See, I guess and no.
Well, it knows. I think it's good at like making you feel like, you know, the emotion that it wants you to feel.
See, I think that's kind of the joy of what movies can really express within humanity and whatnot. Because like,
yes.
Also, how are you doing today, Dean Goldberry? And welcome. We just started here, so we're just kind of talking about our weeks. But like, I looked at that movie, and it's one of those things where I see, you know, this is something that humans are never probably going to rightfully be able to do, because number one, of how messed up it would be, and just number two, how much money it would just cost altogether. But I don't know. Like, it was. Wow, he's gone already.
Yep. So, which movie between those did you like the most?
I would probably say either Jack Reacher or Ocean's 11. But I didn't really have like a this one's definitely better than the rest of them kind of thing. So, and I was going to get to The Matrix, which I actually got through today, but I didn't get time to watch that. So, and then I finished Twilight Princess. I think is my only game that I finished over the week. I wanted to start Octopath, and I think I did, but I only got like an hour and a half to 2 hours in.
Right.
So, other than that, I had a root canal done, and that was it.
So how are you doing with your teeth then?
They are interesting. I had fillings done on the top four on Friday, actually, which I thought was kind of an odd day. And they're fine. There's little bits of pain kind of still here and there, but other than that, it's all kind of it's fine now. I can play again. I've nothing. They said that there's just a little bit left to go, like 1 to 2 visits left, and then I'll be done.
1 to 2 visits left to go.
So then it's just all repayment at this point.
Right. You know, I've been curious though. Back then, you couldn't play brass because of what? It was the gauze or what?
So obviously, when you have a tooth pulled, there's a lot of blood that just kind of comes out, and it's a big hole essentially. So, what happens is that obviously it's got to seal up and heal, and while it's sealing, you can't really like put a lot of unnecessary pressures on the mouth, specifically with spitting, because all the air and stuff going out could reopen up the wound.
Right.
So so I can't play because all brass is spitting and buzzing your mouth and blowing air through your mouth.
So when you got those adjustments just earlier, it's still fine, right? Or did you have to recover a bit still?
The only thing I usually I would take the day to kind of heal up from that, just because obviously you'd get numbed up for fillings and stuff.
And you wouldn't want to risk, right, any other damage.
Well, it's not even so much that there's a risk of damage, just that you just can't play while you're numb.
Ah, right.
So, I mean, like at the evening time, I could have probably actually played and had no problem. But it's just might as well rest up for the day and start again tomorrow. So, but I acquired a special type of mute that'll allow me to practice at like 3 a.m., which is nice. So if I ever miss time during the day to practice, I can always practice at night now.
That's cool.
Yeah. It's really handy.
I can't imagine like practicing piano at that time. I'd have to like lower the volume of, because I have an electronic keyboard.
If only
I haven't been practicing.
If
all.
only we had these magical devices that surrounds our ears. That we could just
headphones.
That we could just plug into
the keyboard does not have a headphone jack, I think.
That is the dumbest keyboard ever. What keyboard?
Well, maybe it does, but I don't. I have never checked. So that's my fault. My fault.
my fault.
My fault. Anyway, was that your week?
Yeah, that's pretty much been my week.
I'm not. One thing that we have difficulty is like when we're done with the topic, we don't know when to be like, all right, pretty
much.
Let's move on to the other one. So I'll move on to my week then. When you were on your break, there was a lot of Brian speed streams, quite a bit.
Yeah, nobody cared.
Yeah, that's why you were there too. But those were fun. I kind of have a streaming itch. It's just that I don't know when's a good time to really do it. I need to plan a good time to acquire that, because now that I have the Discord, it's like now there's people who could be alerted too, besides your chat.
Yeah.
Which I alert every time. Besides that, I've been playing Salt and Sanctuary. That's a I don't like saying this, but it's basically a 2D Souls-like, where it's fairly difficult. It's all about collecting like salt, which is basically souls and Dark Souls, and then leveling up your character and going through this dreary landscape. I've been enjoying it. It's whenever Johnny comes over, I play it because he owns it.
Yeah,
I'm about level 59 right now, so I'd assume I'm doing pretty well. What else have I been doing? I picked up Ren'Py, which is a visual novel engine, but I've actually been learning a little bit of code by doing that, particularly Python. I heard that Python's an easy code language.
I've been so out of the game with coding and all that stuff that it's hard to remember it all. I remember back in the day when PHP was the super popular one.
Right.
Obviously,
and
everybody learns how to do C++ or C or whatever. Kind of early on.
I think that's what
Java.
my friend's doing, because he's going into computer programming, and he was like, "Yeah, Python's pretty easy if you learn it." And I was like, "Oh, sounds good. I'm stupid."
The only problem that I always find with coding is that you can learn to code, or you can learn to code. And like, if you learn to code, I mean, you run into this issue where it's like, all right, I know how to do the bare minimum coding. What do I do now?
Right.
But if you learn to code, then you're basically doing it as a profession at this point and making lots of money.
So I'm doing the former, the first one.
So I'd be curious to see if you find anything interesting, so to say, to code. Because that was always the problem, is that like it's fun to a point and then it becomes so tedious to do.
Well, so the big thing about I think RPG Maker also uses Python, so I think it could help out a little transferring over between the two.
Yeah.
I'm not certain though. I could be completely wrong. But But yeah, that's pretty helpful. Besides that, I haven't done much. Yesterday, I went to my, as you know, my pseudo cousin's
Yeah,
house for his birthday.
basically you blew us off.
Hey, well, I wasn't on call that day.
You
I'm
blew
never
us
on
off.
call on Saturdays.
You blew us
Right.
off. We wanted to play Risk
on,
with you, and then you were like, no, I don't want to play Risk. No.
I don't want to play Risk. Were you planning on like finishing the? Wait, did we ever save our last thing? Because we were playing with Evening and Brian a while ago. Is that saved at all?
Weren't we playing? We were playing Pandemic.
But we also had a Risk game
Uh,
where I think Brian was like losing big time.
I think I still have that somewhere.
Well, anyway, I was assuming that you wanted to finish that because I was doing pretty well in that. But you know, sorry I blew you guys off. Who'd you play with then instead of me?
We played with Evan.
Oh, did you guys finish that one?
Yeah, actually, we did. Evan won. Evie was out in
Ah.
like I don't know, half an hour.
I see. So and was like, yes, my secret scheme worked. It's like all the time in Mario Party transfers over to other games
Yeah, pretty
when it comes
much.
to winning. I can't think of anything else I did. That's really it. Did you play any other games besides Legend of Zelda?
Octopath.
Oh, you played Between Worlds, right? Too?
Yeah,
Or
I beat
was
that.
a while ago?
That was a little while ago, but I did
Oh,
beat
okay.
that.
Yeah, I haven't been playing anything else. I want to move on to Tales of Vesperia though, but we never have a good time to beat Dragon Quest. just a game that like I've leveled everyone up to level 99, and we're just sitting there. We could just do this thing and then beat the boss, then we'd be good. But you know, circumstances.
Hmm.
But then I'd love to switch over to another new well, not new RPG, but actually it would be new because it's a new experience because they added 2 characters to it. Well, anyway, that was my week.
All right then.
That was my week. Darn it. Okay. Oh, what the heck were our topics again? Oh, right. We got the dream game, right? So that's a game that we think would be the best for us, or fictional items we'd like to own.
Yeah, that's what
Which
I
one would you like to lead in with?
have. I don't know. So.
Oh, well, if you don't know, we should take a message from our sponsor, huh, Carl?
No, it's not time for sponsor yet.
Huh?
It's
Is it
between the
because you
thing.
can't improvise right now?
No, I actually planned it to be in between the break,
Oh,
or in
okay.
between the 2 topics.
All right, let me flip a coin then for
I was gonna do that. I have the coin ready.
Okay, you man, you're on point today.
Heads is objects from fiction, and tails is the perfect game.
Okay,
It came up nails.
nails.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why is it heads and nails? What?
No. The nails is where the coin is. It falls on its side. It was tails.
Okay. Can't just say that to me.
I just did.
Okay, do you want me to pick the topic then?
No, I said it came up tails.
Oh, why you say?
You're not listening to me.
No, I did because nails
not-
and
guys.
tails sound very similar when the T is cut off by Discord.
Guys, he's not listening to me.
It's a Discord's fault. So it's my fault. It's my fault. Anyway, so what's tails again? Why are we
Second one, perfect game.
perfect game? Okay. So this topic is basically what we would like to see in a game. Like if we were to
So-
make a game, for example, it would be the perfect game that we would have, a dream project.
So I split this up kind of into 2 categories. One is a short one, and the other one's a longer one. There is the factual category of what game I think is like probably the perfect game out of any other game out there in the world, and then more to the point, what I personally would define as my favorite game based on different opinions or based on different what's the word? categories of how one can build a game, I suppose.
Right.
So,
Hit me with the let's want to start off with the small ones and
yeah,
build up.
Sure. Okay, so I have one for the fact. The fact of the matter is there are many games that are considered to be perfect. However, I cannot think of any game that is more perfectly built, in a sense, than probably Ocarina of Time. Keep in mind, I say this as more of a fact-based opinion and not my personal favorite Zelda opinion, because it's not my favorite Zelda. However, I just can't think of a game that is any better as defined as the perfect game.
So like, yeah, I mean, Ocarina is really all encompassing. I mean, there's a reason why it has like what, a 99.
Yeah, I mean
it defines the top.
You know,
I think.
It's, and here's the other thing too. We've come a long way in games since that game came out. You know, it's been 20 plus, no, not 20. Yeah, probably 20 plus years now.
Around, yeah.
So there's a lot more that we can do now for a game. Yet there's still something about that game that I look at and you just can't beat it. You know. Yeah, the graphics aren't up to par anymore these days. It's got weird polygoned, strange first generation 3D models, if you will. But the story is just kind of this perfect layout for a game.
I really think that the message of the game at the end too is like very powerful. It's like,
yeah,
I took you away from your childhood, and I think pulling you away from that,
and I
was
also,
detrimental, you know.
I also look at the game as that obviously it's not at all a challenging game these days, and that's.
I mean, for Logan.
Wow, I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything.
Bombchu Bowling, Shadow Medallion.
I didn't say anything.
Continue.
Now I lost my train of thought. So, it's, you know, I also look at the game too is that it's got a nice big overworld, and especially back in 1997 or 8 or whenever the game came out, and I say that knowing that there's games such as Breath of the Wild, which has kilometers worth of space to run, or Skyrim, or Rust.
Now, I think
or
the
whatever.
thing with comparing the two, I think the fact that Ocarina of Time is more condensed compared to Breath of the Wild lets you kind of understand how the environment like all connects together a little better,
Yeah.
rather than this large expanse.
Well,
Which isn't to say that that's a bad thing. It's just that I think when you're in a smaller area, you have more control over how everything is in that environment.
Well, and I also think that like the game utilizes its environment to a perfect standpoint. Like nothing kind of goes unused in a sense. You have Hyrule Field, which is the biggest area, and then everywhere else is there's just enough of decoration and a perfect amount of progression and usefulness to the player in order to use. Hyrule Field would be the most unused area of the game since, again, it is the biggest, but it's the perfect amount of not having to sit there for forever having to do something. That drives me insane with some of those games like Skyrim and Breath of the Wild and Final Fantasy, is that I don't like sitting there and waiting. I get that like on an adventure you're gonna have to do that, and that would probably go into the first issue or first kind of opinionated attempt of how to build a game that would be perfect for my standpoint of an open world, essentially.
So I'm looking at Lime's comment here, and I think that has to do with. So as Carl was saying earlier, I think that by back then the standards were back then the standards were different than today. So I think when the remake came out, in today's standards, I think it didn't, because this is the problem with having a remake. It's like if it's too close, it's like you didn't remake it enough. But then if you remake it too much, it's like, well, it's not the original game anymore. But it's like that's the whole reason why remakes aren't gonna be like the top of the list. I think, at least that's how I view it.
Yeah, remakes are kind of a strange kind of breed of their own, and I wouldn't even consider the remake of Ocarina of Time to be better than the original in this very instance, only because there was all that was really mostly. I mean, there was a couple of other things done, but the biggest thing that was redone with the game was just a graphical update, which it needed.
In fact, it left. I think I was watching a video and they were saying they left certain bugs in because that's how the old game was. So they didn't really. I don't think they really touched up upon it too mechanically either.
Evie, weren't you like banned from RuneScape? I don't think you can get banned in Ocarina of Time.
I mean,
that's my best. That is my absolute
legal.
That is my absolute best attempt of trying to change your mind.
Back on topic here. So I thought for this topic we were talking about what our perfect game would be.
Yeah.
But what you're saying is like you really like Ocarina and you think it would be like a perfect game if done now and different?
No, what I wanted to kind of establish is like based on my personal fact, like based on games that already exist. That would be probably my standing perfect game that I would like. That's where I'm kind of like starting from, I guess. Like you can take you have a game like that, and now we have the opinions of we can make anything. That's what I was kind of trying to go at there. What out here is perfect by your standpoint, and what can we?
Well, I thought it was just all about like I want to see this game. I don't know. I haven't seen it in a while or something.
Oh, no.
That's how I was going about this.
No, God, no. That was not how I looked at that at all.
We need to discuss what we mean by topics.
No, you need to stop being stupid. That's what you need to do.
All right.
Yeah, there we go. I win. Well, see, that's why that's why I don't really. It's not my. That's why I look at favorite as a better way of defining it. Like best is always going to be subjective and impossible to really define. Like
so I realized the thing is I had a different topic and I thought yours was just the same as mine, so I deleted mine. I think that's how. Because mine was just like what your favorite game would be. Like if it didn't exist, you would make it.
Well, yeah, that's what I was kind of coming up with too.
But it just like the Ocarina is kind of a weird start point at this kind of discussion. Then
you wanted to go with the quick stuff.
What? Well, sure wasn't quick.
I mean,
well,
the other stuff I think is going to take a lot longer to talk about. So
Okay. I don't know where to go with mine. Do you mind going with yours then?
Well, I guess we'll just instead of trying to make the game all together in once, I think the best way to go about it is to talk about like how each different thing really, or what really makes a game, good or bad in a sense. So like I have a couple of topics of what kind of starts it off, like open world versus hallways. And what I mean by that is, how much is too much of an open world and how much is too restricted. If that makes sense, I think I've never played the game myself. I know you have, and I know you don't want to talk about it.
Blues Brothers 2000, the video game.
But
Final Fantasy 13.
Final Fantasy 13 has been regarded as the hallway game because it's just too restricted.
I think you mean like extremely linear.
Yeah, there's times when I guess that works, and there's times when that doesn't work, and there's just got to be this nice, perfect balance in something like that to be the perfect game.
Do you ever feel like Final Fantasy X is also like very linear, or because
That was something I really was disappointed because I played a little bit of the game, but I obviously never finished the game. There you get an airship, but you don't really get an overworld.
Yeah,
And-
it's a world map that you select the location for.
Yeah, and that was always my favorite thing about Final Fantasy is that you get this overworld.
You get to explore it.
Yeah, and if anything, it's probably more of a hallway than maybe in Final Fantasy 13. Again, I have not played the game, so I'd have to.
I'm assuming I think 13 has less options though. In that regard.
Yeah, probably.
So I'm looking at my list of my notes here. So you're gonna have to lead this discussion because my notes are not
Okay.
with this.
So
Okay.
I guess let's talk about this.
Let's go back to that hallways versus open world.
So there's a lot of games that can utilize open world really well. Oddly enough, when I think of an open world game that's done very well, Rust can be one of those games. It's a very barren, vast world when you're dropped in. I mean, there are sections that are just completely empty with trees and rocks, and that's about it. You know, there's nothing else that you can...
It feels a little weird to call a game like Rust an open world, even though I feel like it's a little true. Because that's like saying Minecraft is an open world. Would you? I mean,
Yeah, no, I mean, I would agree
it
with
kind
that
of is,
too.
but it's also weird, you know.
I mean, it's kind of it's a kind of a bad example too because there's no story to Rust. There's no story. There is a story of Minecraft, but there isn't. You know?
Barely story. They have two people talking to you at the end.
Yeah. You beat up a dragon, then the game is technically over.
Yeah.
Ooh. But I guess. Well, I bring up Rust in those games too because you know, when you look at a game like kind of like Final Fantasy 15 or Breath of the Wild, it oddly enough doesn't work despite the fact that you now have a story-driven game in a sense. But it's weird because you're like there's more excitement to the game of Rust exploring the more or less barren, vast world. Possibly because the fear is super real in that game versus a game like Breath of the Wild or Final Fantasy 15 where, yeah, there's going to be, you know, eventually hard enemies that are going to, you know, destroy you easily. But even so, it's just, I don't know, like...
When I think of open worlds, I think of Fallout New Vegas actually.
Yeah, that's
because you know, if you try to go north through the strip, there's the Death Claws and then the what are they called, the Stingy Boys. Well, anyway, there's them, and then there's also but then when you go to like the left or down, the enemies are like much easier. So I think when you're designing an open world thing, it's definitely pertinent to kind of have a little bit of like linear fashion to where you want your play to go, but then afterwards it's open world. I don't know, it's a little hard to explain that.
Yeah.
Because you can, I've done it. You can just cut through the Death Claws and the Stinky Boys, and you know, get to the strip really early. But the game tries as hard as possible to make you not want to do that. So I think what I'm trying to say is open worlds are definitely difficult to pull off, and there's a lot of problems trying to create one that kind of leads your player along without feeling insane. I also think of Romancing Saga when I think of a open world game, but it's a little different.
I'm trying to think of other kind of open world games or giant world games too. I guess that'd be another definition of open world in a sense.
I think Romancing Saga is actually one of the first RPG open world games. I haven't played much of it though.
And it's kind of difficult to define like what even an open world really is. You know, it's Ocarina. Going back to Ocarina of Time, I think you can really call that an open world in a sense. Back in the day, I mean, when people first played that, they walked into Hyrule Field and they were like, "Wow, this place is enormous in 3D and whatnot.
But having these significant blocks on your path, I think, make it not an open world.
Yeah,
Like,
there's
if you don't have this thing, you can't go through.
right.
But so overall, though, I think if we were to, I guess what we're doing right now is actually crafting a perfect game.
Yeah,
I think that I kind of prefer linear games over open world, but going to Dark Souls because evening's here, and I could make a good point here. At the start, you can go to multiple directions, but there's difficulty to block you off your path. So if you were to go shoot down or no through the, well, it's been a while. There's a sense of open worldness, but it's definitely stringing you along a path. And what I like about Dark Souls is that when you're going through the level, it loops back. So say you're going through, you find a ladder, you can kick it down and then go back to the start of the area, for example. So I don't know. I think linear areas I prefer over open world for the most part. On the other hand, Dragon's Dogma is probably one of my favorite games, and that's pretty
so
open world-y.
you're saying you like going through a level and then coming back, like backtracking through a level.
Yeah, I think it's not quite backtracking of it. It's like you create shortcuts is more what I'm getting at.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, what do you prefer? Because I don't think there's enough open world games though to compare to linear games,
Well,
which makes it a little difficult.
I think it's if you have a lot of stuff to do in an open world, I think it becomes a little bit more fun. And the other thing, especially with any of the Elder Scrolls games that I ran into the issue of, was that I got to the open world, like, you know, I got to be able to basically go wherever the heck I wanted to. But, like, Oblivion specifically, I got to the open world and I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, there were some quests and stuff lined out for you to do, but I didn't really feel any kind of progress any time I played the game.
I think open world games cater to adventure types. So, like, I think in your case, you just want to go down a path and see what happens.
And you know what else helps with open worlds too is I like an established place.
Like a hub world kind of. Well, not quite, but you know what I mean.
No, kind of just like a home. You know, like I like having somewhere to go back to improve my own area. If that kind of makes sense. So.
Well, Skyrim you could buy houses, and Oblivion too.
See, you start off with a house because, like, I guess you inherit some magician's study or whatever. And I did actually make it out there to understand what the heck it was, but like, there just was something missing about it. Something that I couldn't really put my finger on. Like, I guess an example of a good way that it was done is like Assassin's Creed 2. Because you have your own hometown area that you can come back to, upgrade. It's a safe zone. Like,
you might be surprised, but I think that a game that you might like is Dragon Quest Builders, because the whole point of the game is to build up this town so then people can live. Because the whole story of the game is that no one lives anywhere because no one knows how to build things. It's funny in that regard, because it's like you can't build a house yourself. You don't know how to cut down a tree, and it's like, yeah, I don't. Help me. But I think that's what you're looking for, because when you enter your town, it's a safe zone, though you can be raided too,
right,
by enemy swarms. So I think something like that you might like, with the open worldy kind of gameplay.
Yeah.
I'm having a hard time deciding. I think with these, it's definitely hard to decide. It really depends. Furthermore, what kind of game that's being made here.
Yeah, this is true too. So this is only kind of one thing, you know, that kind of pulls into the what makes a game good or bad or whatnot. The next one,
Let's
had.
take a jog.
What?
Let's take a jog on to the next part.
Yeah. So like the next one that I
Some
had was
transition.
like difficulty versus impossible. We've all been there. There's difficulty to be fun, and then there's this is impossible. More so because we don't want to spend 8 hours trying to do something in a game. And it becomes the question of like, how far does one person want to go before this just sucks? Before it's just complete and total agony.
Yeah, I think the better way to put it is difficulty versus artificial difficulty. So
Yeah.
like in an RPG where they don't manipulate how enemies are, rather they manipulate their HP, for example. Like that's I think that's artificial difficulty, right?
Yeah.
Well, the answer is obvious. You want normal difficulty. You don't want impossible. I mean, sure, there's that thing in your head. It's like, this feels impossible, but maybe I could beat it. I think it's funny where it's like, this is hard. I could probably do it if I try hard enough.
Well, see, I always find that, like, especially if I load up a game and I see the difficulty selection screen, I kind of cringe a little bit every time I see that.
In what regard?
Because I feel like there really shouldn't be, I guess, a lot of the times. Because
I get what you're saying, because that goes back to artificial difficulty with some games. Because there are some games where hard mode is, moving enemy positions, reestablishing the type of gameplay you have to go through to beat the game. And there's other ones where you just have to grind to beat it.
Yeah, that's a big one too. Is when you have the grinding issue. I don't know. Like I'm thinking of like Metal Gear Solid. Any one of those games when you switch from normal to European extreme. Like
the whole thing that changes is really the AI, I think, in that. Well, also you die in like one shot.
Yeah, I don't know. Like it's just.
Well, I think it also depends on the game. So, say for example, you're playing Fire Emblem. There's like a easy, normal, hard, and lunatic, and then I forget the last one. I think I might have skipped some. But in most of the Fire Emblems, I think they remove the enemy placement and make it easier to level up. But where am I going with this? I don't know. I think it's to create a divide between people who just want to play the game and people who want a challenge, and that's really the importance of having difficulty side in the first place. But I see where you're going from, because it's like, I think you prefer like just one difficulty. Is that what you're?
Yeah, kind of like there's a way a game is supposed to be played, and there's no difficulty thing for like Pac-Man or something.
Or Dark Souls. There's no difficulty. I'm not. And
I'm
going to refer to Dark Souls a lot because I really like it.
And it's really interesting because like back in the day when Pac-Man came out, everybody was fine. They all figured out how to play it. They all mastered it or passed on. I'm not saying it's an absolutely horrible thing to have in a game. Some games really do need a difficulty spike or diminishment through the difficulty selection kind of screen.
Now here's one that yes, but the difference between that is that you have to beat the game first evening.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. Sometimes is the stupid. We got to beat the game in order to unlock the harder difficulty, which is going to take you longer to beat the game. Like,
well, as long as they don't borrow any, like if the hard mode is just there for fun's sake. If it's like you have to beat hard mode to get the true ending, I don't know how I feel about that typically.
Yeah,
but it's funny. This is a little off topic, but if you die in I forget which Devil May Cry game it is, but I think it's 3. If you die on a boss, it says easy mode now unlocked. which is that's a big cut to your pride right there.
That's
funny. Savage.
That's actually really funny. I enjoy that. Easy mode now unlocked.
But going back to Devil May Cry, they have kind of I think one game actually has a broken difficulty setting. So normal is hard, and then I think Evening and I were having a conversation about this.
You know what I was
Um,
also thinking about too is it's kind of frustrating to see the difficulty select screen at the beginning of the game, and a really, 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 really good example of fixing an issue like this is
DMC4, right?
Call of Duty Modern Warfare,
Veteran difficulty.
because they make you play the game first. They establish how to play the game first, and then they give you a test to see how particularly good or not you can be at the game. And it's not the best way of, establishing it, but it's definitely a better step of like, here's the difficulty screen. Because and then there's those games that are like, all right, here are the difficulty choices: hard, harder, or hardest. And people just kind of look at that and are like, oh,
Picking hard. Picking
if
hard.
you're gonna make this hard, you might as well just pick the hardest category. I mean, it's just
I like what was it, Wolfenstein though, where easy mode it's BJ Blazkowicz with a babby bib and a pacifier.
and then there's also games that like there's only a fraction of the game unlocked if you play on like easy mode versus if you play on hard mode, then the whole game is unlocked. I always thought that those were frustrating too. It's like, why not just make the difficulty go through the rest of the game?
So I don't know. I didn't realize that about Call of Duty, but I do like the idea of you play a little bit of the game and it's kind of a neutral difficulty. It's not too hard,
Like,
and then it puts you in this test, and then it'll be like, I don't know. I can see that being integrated in a game like where you're a part of a guild and it's like, here's the exam, and then that'll define your difficulty. That'd be cool, I think.
I mean, think about it. Like, let's take Dark Souls for example. I mean, you get to choose what difficulty you start with, right?
No, the game is designed at the same difficulty
Okay.
until you do New Game Plus. The enemies get harder, but that's because when you do New Game Plus, you have your levels and the enemies scale with you.
Well, yeah, I know it's a recommended difficulty, but I mean, I would say probably 90% of the people that play the game probably took the recommended difficulty on their first playthrough of the game. Maybe 80, 70%, but I would say majority. It's just more of like this is a better way to approach please choose your difficulty. As opposed
Because I'm on Carl's side here because it's hard to know what difficulty you're going to enjoy until you play it. And by the time you're like through like a little bit and you're like, okay, this is too hard, it's not going to be fun to go back down a difficulty to normal, restarting the game, unless the game has like it lets you pick, but still.
And the other thing too with Call of Duty, because I thought that was fixed as well in a situation where if you take the test and you mess up and it gives you easy difficulty, you can take the test again to see if you can bring that difficulty up to the recommended level. And I think that's a good way of kind of basing it, like earn your difficulty, not be thrown into a difficulty and then regret it halfway through the game. Because there's the issues too where like you play on hard mode and you're fine through like the first half of the game, and then you get to that boss that's just completely broken in a sense. And the hard mode doesn't make that any better.
So I think at the end of the day, I'm fine if a game just like, hey, if this is too hard, just turn down the difficulty. It gives you the option.
Yeah, I'd be okay with that too.
Because a lot of games have that. Yeah.
Like the game is too hard. I want to. The only thing is that if you want to re-up the difficulty, I guess. And
there are some games that lock you off from doing that.
And then there are other ways of kind of gauging how to go about difficulty while you're playing a game too, without setting a difficulty thing as well. And that's challenging. Like challenge mode, I guess, would be a good way of going about it. Like you can either fight. Let's just use a random example of you can fight with your sword, shield, your magical armor, your boots, and everything, or you could just fight with a sword and get 5 times the bonus. And that's hard mode, essentially. Like, being able to pick your difficulty, I suppose, in a fight would be... without really having the need to accomplish this for 100%. If that makes sense.
But I think at the end of the day, I just always pick normal until
Like
I
I
beat
think
it.
I especially think difficulty really works well if you pick the hard mode, you get rewarded in a sense of progressing the game a little bit easier or faster, possibly. So, like, if you need, let's say $100,000 for some advancement in the plot, you could either slowly fight the easy stuff, or you could try to tackle on the harder stuff too.
Or you could take the seed exam and just wait for the money
Yeah.
to come in.
I guess that always doesn't work out the best, but it's definitely
So with you though, whenever you see a difficulty thing, do you just go normal too, and then, or what?
usually I
'Cause-
assume the game is supposed to be played on normal difficulty.
Yeah.
Very
like
rarely
I-
will I just switch over to hard difficulty at the beginning. It depends. I guess it depends on the game as well.
Like I think if I beat a game on normal and I'm gonna go through it again, I'll go on the higher difficulty. That's how I play Persona.
And-
Because
Yeah, and it's dependent.
I beat 4 and then I was like, I could probably do this harder. So I think when I did Persona 5 the first way through, I did it on hard. So
Let's see, sometimes
in a man's life,
it's a good idea, and sometimes it's just a bad idea. I suppose to start on the hardest difficulty. And
like
the
I
other-
was like, when you were playing Smash, I was like, I don't think he wants to play on hard mode.
yeah, I'm kind of glad I didn't.
Glad you're enjoying that though. You seem to have a lot of fun.
It definitely would be a challenge on hard mode.
Yeah, especially because I'm not very good at Smash either. So it's like, well, I'm not trying to say that you're bad. I just mean like, to myself, I'm not very good at it either. As in, what I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to insult you.
That's okay. I don't really care for Smash all that much, anyways. It's not.
What are you talking about? You went to that tournament the other day.
No, I really didn't.
He forgot to mention it during the
Uh-huh.
our week discussion. Yeah, but I think we're kind of at the same page here with difficulty. I think what we don't like is artificial difficulty,
Yeah.
and even then we kind of prefer normal mode to be the perfect experience. I'd say I want normal mode to be the perfect experience, and then if I want to challenge myself, I'll move up.
But I think
But I never play on easy.
the only other thing I can also just add to difficulty is that if you want to challenge optional bosses are also a very popular thing too.
I love optional bosses, dude.
What?
I love optional bosses. Those are great.
Yeah, like if you want to fight all the weapons in Final Fantasy VII, then yeah. And if not, that's okay too. You can go fight Sephiroth.
There is a thing though, like I don't think you'll have any like bearing in this, but I was playing Story of Seasons, and then the difficulty is whether or not you start with more money, and I was like, I don't know if I like that. It's a Harvest Moon. It's where Harvest Moon's devs went after they split from Natsume. Is this going over your head?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. Well, I got to talk about Harvest Moon.
I gotta at some point actually really sit down with the game and play it.
Let's play together,
No.
bro to bro.
When's Harvest Moon getting multiplayer?
Never. You know what's funny? So on the list I have, because I was like, these are games that I would really like to see. One of them was a solid new Harvest Moon. Because like the Light of Hope is not, it's not awful, but it's kind of just mediocre
Awful.
at the end of the day. From what I've been hearing, I don't know if I'd ever want to pick it up for myself either. And that's basically where I'm looking at Harvest Moon. There are some good fan games coming out though. Like not fan games in terms of like it's a Harvest Moon like variation thing.
I think
They're like their
everybody-
own games, you know.
I think everybody usually agrees that Stardew Valley's the.
Right now it's kicking butt for sure.
I still.
I just don't.
I don't even own it.
I have it on PS4 and I'm waiting for that multiplayer. I should have gone on PC when I could have. Because one thing I don't like about Stardew Valley is probably just the visuals. I think that's it.
Kind of looks Super Nintendo-ish, doesn't it?
I'm talking more about the character portraits. I don't know. Some of them are miss for me. Like the nurse, her hat doesn't look like a hat to me.
This seems
And
like
some of their older drawings I kind of preferred more, but I think that's all preference. It's like I can't really complain.
this seems like such a minor thing to.
No, because you're supposed to connect to the characters, and if you think they look weird, it's gonna, Well, not. I'm not trying to be offensive when I say it, but I mean, like, in a visual sense, with regards to the style, I just don't really like the style of some of the art. Is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
And it's kind of important to have a connection to the characters because that's a majority of what your time is being spent on building up relationships. I'm not trying to say like, oh yeah, Speed doesn't want to hang out with no uggos. That's not what I'm trying to say.
What are you talking about? Have you seen your Sims playthrough?
What do you mean? Evening wants to. Well, I can't say that here, but Evening's like, man, Speed looks hot. Right. The next story season's supposed to come out on Switch. Well, anyway, enough about Harvest. I got my Harvest Moon discussion in. What else do you have with regards to perfect games? Like, what other elements are you looking at here?
I wrote down.
Genre?
Yeah, I guess we could talk. Well, no, genre's kind of a not.
Subjective still. It's hard. Well, everything we're talking about is kind of opinionated, but it's
Yeah.
like the perfect game isn't defined by a genre. I think.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess let's talk about that for a second because I suppose I can squeeze in some stuff.
I think most popular games
I guess-
are an action adventure. So.
Could you, in theory, have a game that basically has every genre in it? It's a very, 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 very difficult thing to
WarioWare.
say yes to because
WarioWare open world RPG.
well, here's where I'm getting at because number one,
Okay.
is it technically even possible?
Well,
Because
it's possible for some movies to switch genres, like in the middle of the movie, but it's not possible for a movie to contain every genre.
Because-
so I don't think it's possible for a game to have it either.
Because I look at that kind of thing as like, at some point you're gonna have to have like some completely different game within the game. Or the other.
It's gonna, yeah. Even in that regard, if a game has every genre, it's not gonna appeal to everyone. So it wouldn't be a good idea in the first
I mean,
place.
let me just like write down all the genres out there in the world. So we have action, adventure,
Sometimes I get that mixed, like
simulation, racing,
horror, survival horror,
shooter, survival horror.
platformer, multi MMORPG.
Is that really a genre?
Kinda. Like, do you? Yeah, it is.
Okay. RPG, I guess.
MOBA.
Oh my god. RTS.
You can't say Animal Crossing is an RTS. You can't say Deserted Island Survival or what is it, whatever that is an RTS.
What about platformer speed?
No.
What about racing?
Wait, where? I'm not the one saying Animal Crossing is everything. Well, he's like speed. You mean evening? I'm not.
It's not really.
Well, I
an
guess if
MMO.
you count Excite Bike in
that
GameCube
doesn't
engine.
count. That no.
I know it doesn't.
That doesn't count. No.
I know it doesn't. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't think Evening's saying Animal Crossing is all genres is quite true.
Puzzle. What else we got?
We got the turn-by-turn RPGs. We got there's so many subgenres of RPGs.
You race to pay Tom Nook ASAP. You mean you race to pay the guy who says you can pay it at any pace you want to pay it at, which ends up not becoming a race because you don't. There's no racing element to it. Try again, and try better.
You could say there is a race in the mini games to beat the time, but I mean that's not really
time
a
trial.
race. Yeah, but then well, there's no genre called time trial.
You're racing against yourself. Then that's not a race. What are you racing against? That's
other people. I don't know.
no, that's speedrunning. That doesn't count. Because
What?
then,
Where are we going with that?
okay, so
Let's-
here's the thing. Eevee has declared that Animal Crossing has every single genre element into the game. Tabletop sim
Is close.
is very close.
It could almost be everything, except the fact that I don't think you could.
But the
platform.
problem is, I would argue that tabletop sim is an engine and not a game.
Yeah, in a sense, I would agree with that. It's a platform where you could play games, but it's not a. I don't think you'd call tabletop a sim a game in itself. This is getting.
It's basically a console essentially.
This is getting too semantic oriented. This is why I didn't want to go talk about genres.
You brought it up.
Well, yeah, but then so what if I brought it up? I didn't want to talk about it.
Oh, Gmod's a good call.
But is Gmod a game or is it a platform?
But Gmod is probably more a game than a platform.
Than tabletop.
Yeah. Gmod actually would be a really high-ranking contender to have every single.
Mario Party. It kind of does have everything in the mini games. Like there's the shooters where you shoot the balloons.
But there's no
the-
MMO element, and there's no RPG element.
Just wait a second. Just wait a minute. Get ready for Mario Party RPG. Super Mario Party RPG.
Because I would agree, there is action in Mario Party. There's at least one with an adventure mode. Simulation, I think you could probably argue. Racing, I know for sure. Shooter, you could argue. Horror, you could argue. I don't know about survival horror. No, I guess no. That exists. Survival horror.
No, so survival
Or
horror is
RAR?
managing your resources.
Well, no, I'm thinking more of like some of those games where it's like, all right, everybody's on the pit of safety. Don't fall in the fire.
That's not survival horror.
It is. It's horrifying. You don't want to fall in the fire.
It's
Die. No.
Survival horror is a genre where you have limited resources and you manage them.
I mean, let's define. Is there a horror element into dying?
Yes,
Are you trying to
to
survive?
a degree. But you might as well say Mario is a horror game because it has the spooky boo houses. And
I
you
mean,
can
I guess
jump on the
technically
witch.
speaking, you can consider every Mario game. To be
Let's move
survival
on to the
horror.
next topic.
Yeah, this topic's dumb. Let's just scrap it. At this point, we're all just messed up and we don't know what we're talking about.
I had fun though.
There is no good game. They all suck.
I think the better topic for next time is what kind of game do you want to see rather than what would be the definitive perfect game. Because like I wrote stuff like so I really like Fantasy Life, but I think it could have been a little more I think you should have more ability to personalize yourself, and I think that you can adjust your house, but it doesn't really matter because you don't really have people visiting you. I think it needed more multiplayer. So I mean that's kind of where I was going mentally, like what kind of game, if you mishmashed it together with other games, would be your favorite kind of thing.
Yeah.
We'll
Maybe we'll retune this maybe or something.
we'll retune this. We'll discuss this.
Yeah.
Okay, now we can't mess this next topic up. Do we have a break here?
Yeah. Give me.
Is this something I have to wait for and watch on your stream to know what's going on?
There's nothing really to watch.
Because you shot me last time, and it's like I wasn't.
Well, sometimes it happens.
Okay, you have a script here.
No, I'm gonna go for it. All right.
All right, we have accepting a message from our sponsor.
Are you bored of watching the normal streams that you normally watch that aren't these here that you're watching right now?
Yeah.
Are you looking for some better entertainment? Then come on down to Hexagon Inc., where we have all the greatest and all the best entertainment possible. We got great entertainment from the Speed Slasher, who happens to be one of two of the afternoon casuals. Did you know that? I bet you didn't know that, but now you do know that.
Hey guys.
Coming up next after afternoon casuals, we have the great and wonderful son Brian, who likes to stream some Sims on the occasion and maybe some other games as well.
I play Counter-Strike.
He also likes to play Counter-Strike, and we all have a bad time when we play Counter-Strike, but that's okay. Are you looking for some blind playthroughs where you don't want to give any hint or advice? Go on down to Christmas 95. He's the guy that has all the blind playthroughs, and I imagine someday there will probably be some more Salmon Run on that channel too. Are you looking for something?
I have a Twitter.
Are you looking for something just completely different, some unique game, maybe something like City Skyline? Evan Dude 47, he's your guy right there. Are you looking for Overwatch and only Overwatch? Well, then go on down to the Angelic Zelda Katie show, where you can only watch Overwatch, who also streams in my show on Wednesdays, where we play Phoenix Wright all the time, every time, and eventually something else.
Take that.
Are you looking for randomizers? You know you are, because you can go find those on the Mip Logan show, who likes to play Ocarina of Time randomizers all day, every day.
I don't have a good record against Brian.
And then... And then on occasion, he also likes to play the Uno. And then coming up after that is do you need a chat mom in your life? Then Veruna Virus is the show to go to. She plays a lot of random different stuff. Usually she talks about Darksiders, and she usually uploads more, but every now and then she streams. And then finally on our list here we have the good old more infoistic, otherwise known as Tom, in the chat. He lives under a rock and occasionally streams, sometimes some other things. Go check him out. He likes to play Tom, what do you like to Mass Effect? That's the game I'm thinking of. Hexagon Inc. It's a great time. It's an awesome time. It's a fantastic time. But most of all, it's a shape. Okay, thank you for coming back here. Moving on to our next topic here.
I like how my thing was, he's part of Afternoon Casuals.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a game. He's just part of a group. Okay, our next topic here is now this is not something we could have messed up. This is clear as crystal. I don't think there's any way to mess this up. It's fictional items we'd like to own.
Okay, so I'd really love to live in Kanto region.
That's two podcasts ago.
I know.
And are you talking about the literal Japan Kanto area, or are you talking about Pokemon? I plead the fifth. So how many do you have on your list? Because I have
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 8.
9. I have 9.
I technically have 9 as well. 10.
Oh wow, we might have the same things. We'll see. All right. You want me to kick this one off?
Yeah, since I had to brutally start the other one.
All right, this one's kind of fun. I'm not gonna go these in order, but I've actually ordered them in alphabetical. I'll go with probably the cooler ones. So from Gary's mod, we were talking about it earlier. The tool gun I think would be really fun to own. So let's actually set a precedent. Do they keep the functionality?
They're fiction. They can be anything they want.
No, but so if you were to own them in real life, do they keep the functionality, or is it just something you kind of put on your wall and like, that's nice?
No, they keep the functionality.
Okay, yeah, the tool gun. Then I could put balloons on myself and fly away or something. I think there's a lot of potential fun with tool gun, especially because it's kind of this all-encompassing item.
The world would literally die if anybody could just go own a tool gun.
They would, but there could be so many things that I could fix.
I don't like this guy. I'm just gonna put 1,000 thrusters on his car. Oh, there it
Oh,
goes.
and then can't you adjust the bones on people too?
Yeah, you can turn.
You can make monsters. Oh man, the tool gun is probably the most dangerous item for anyone to own. I wouldn't mind lowering my weight a little though, you know.
No, you have to download a mod for that.
Oh darn. What would you do if you had a tool gun? Would you like put thrusters on everything? Or...
Well, I'd find putting things together, like welding things, would be super easy.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
You go into
Like,
construction, you just show up with the tool gun and be like, "Hey guys, check this out. Boink, 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 boink. Done. Your building's done." That'll be $500,000.
I think you'd commission a little more.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I think the tool gun would be a solid option. Also, it would be the end of the world, depending on who owns it.
Yeah.
All right. See, these are quick and easy. Let's. All right, Carl.
Okay, so Evie has said it. The portal gun.
Portal gun. Right. I was thinking that it's like.
So there's.
I'd have to mess around with it quite a bit because the surfaces are kind of you know, you don't know which surface works on what sometimes.
Yeah, but see, I'm just kind of thinking. I'm like, if I had a 9-to-5 job, I could wake up at like 8:55 every day, and I just keep the portals up to my job, and and I'd be able to walk straight to work. It'd be great.
I think another thing you'd have to kind of have with that though is the feet things that prevent fall damage.
Oh, the boots.
Yeah, because like say for example you accidentally messed up big time and now you're in an endless loop. Like you're screwed at that point unless you have the leg things. Then you could like move, shift yourself, and then you'd have to be very careful with the portal gun, just like you would be with the tool gun, I guess. But yeah, I like the portal gun as an idea. I think there's a lot of rules with
I
it.
think Elon Musk could learn a lot from the portal gun.
Could learn a lot from other things. Well, anyway, my next item is from Pokemon, and this is simply because I want to annoy Carl. It's the Pokeflute.
You just put me to sleep.
Yeah.
No, actually, yeah, no, you wait. Never mind. You wake.
No,
up.
you wake me. Yo, it's a shake up formula.
Wake up.
But with a flute. I also really like the design of it. It's just a flute with a big old Pokeball at the end of it.
It's kind of goofy.
I mean, it's not a hard thing to have. I mean, you could probably just make one. But I don't know.
If it was that easy, then why don't they just sell them willy nilly in Pokemon?
There's
Gotta go all the way over to Lavender Town to get one.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I think there's a little more technical play.
I think it's kind of a magical flute. It's a backwards magical flute.
You're right.
It annoys people and wakes them up, as opposed to putting them to sleep.
I mean, I could do that with my regular recorder, but I guess if you're like Snorlax, if someone's in a coma, you could use the Pokeflute. Maybe, it's no one's tested it. It could work. Anyway, let's move on here.
I'll give it a 3.5 out of 10 for annoying me. The next a question mark block from Mario. That's what I put. No joke. Cause there's one in Super Mario RPG that just gives you infinite coins.
Right.
Boom, winning.
But what's the transfer rate from coins to dollars?
I don't know. They probably weigh like a pound each, so
Yeah, like and you don't have
gold.
Mario's infinite pocket with you, so you'd. I don't know. I think you'd have to figure it out.
I think if I had a handful of Mario coins, I'd be like set for life.
Yeah, depending on like what are the coins made out of? Like if they're made of gold, yeah, sure, you could probably sell it for a good amount.
What other thing would they be made out of?
Steel.
No.
Why not? You could define anything as currency, as long as people value it.
I guess, but it's a backwards Mushroom Kingdom. You think you think they're gonna have steel in the Mushroom Kingdom?
Yeah, the thing that Donkey Kong is on in Mario.
That's
like rebar or whatever. No,
they don't. Those are the dark times. Nobody talks about that. That's
Those are the dark
that's not even in the Mushroom Kingdom area. That's just like New York.
Okay, well then New Donk City is made out of.
But that's not even.
What are pipes made out of? Gold?
No, they're made out. Shut
They're made out
up.
of steel.
They're concrete.
Got it? No, it can't be true. They're shiny. It's got to be some kind of metal.
Concrete can be
backed
shiny.
yourself in the corner here.
They're porcelain.
And then, well, okay, then what's Princess Peach's crown made out of?
Gold?
Shiny plastic. Okay.
Shiny plastic.
Okay. I'm moving to mine now. Pipes are plastic? I mean, that could be true. But I don't think plastic has the same allure and shine. Well, anyway, here's another one. A game you played recently. Luigi's Mansion, the Game Boy Horror. I realized this. They did sell, I think in the special edition, they did sell Game Boy Horrors. Is that true? Well, anyway, I don't know. I think it's kind of a nifty tool. It's kind of like owning a Nokia phone in 2019. You know, there's just an appeal to it, just being a Game Boy that communicates. I always thought that SPs were kind of like flip phones.
So basically, that's how you're defining the Game Boy Horror, is that it's a
communicative device with a camera that lets you teleport.
Only if you
look
shine
at
it
a
in
mirror.
Yeah. All right.
Well, it's not a bad thing. It would be cool to own. Wouldn't you agree? No.
I don't see any use for it.
I'm not picking it because it has a use. I'm picking it because it looks cool to me.
So basically, you want a shelf piece.
Yeah, for that one, yeah.
So do you want me to just order you an original Game Boy or a Game Boy Color and just replace color with horror and just be like, here you go?
No, but it still has functionality, but you're just saying it's not useful.
Do you want me to then rip out the innards and put like an iPhone or something in there?
Actually, yeah, that'd be dope. I could have also said the vacuum, but
it's a vacuum. I mean,
you know what? You know what? It's not. It's actually kind of. I'm switching it. The vacuum, because it's on your back.
Okay.
It's like saying the Ghostbusters vacuum.
So you can clean house, or if ghosts were a real thing, you can suck up ghosts.
I mean, who knows if they're real?
I guess it's technically a flamethrower too, and a water.
Yeah, and
shooter.
an ice thing.
An ice thing.
I don't know what you call that.
I guess it's an ice thrower.
An ice? No, we're sticking the ice thing.
It's an air conditioner.
Oh, that would be so useful. Actually, there is a lot of use for the vacuum.
I guess
so
there is.
Say you're hanging out with your bros and you're like, "Hey, man, you guys want some barbecue?"
Oh man, I'm too hot.
But
Can
then
you cool down?
the only thing is, owning a flamethrower is illegal.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is. In MythBusters, they had to make the thing under high, fidelity. Okay, move on with yours.
I don't want to talk about this anymore. I'm gonna go jail. He's gone. He's gone to jail. Guys, it's over. We win. Victory. I'm so proud of myself. How's jail, Shady Speed?
Wait, sorry. My headphones got stuck on my chair. Give me a moment here. I can't. How'd this happen? Sorry, I couldn't hear anything.
Oh, you went to
I'm
jail
back.
and then you became Shady Speed.
Oh. Sorry. What? Some states? Well, in California, I don't think so, because MythBusters they had to they had to be supervised.
There's I mean, here. I'm gonna be real honest with you here.
Was this your flamethrower?
Yes, it is actually my flamethrower. Actually,
Is this how you fire me all the time? I didn't even know about this. Are you just flicking a lighter? Is that what's going on?
no, it's basically a baseline flamethrower. Like
Do you have a picture?
I was seeing if I could. Hold on. Let's see if I can get this to work. Actually, just pull that.
You're scaring me. I didn't know Hexagon Ink was armed to the teeth.
I think I have to. Oh, I can. Okay, cool. All right. Let me clean an area here. So for you that are listening at home, unfortunately, you'll not be able to witness what I'm going to show you guys, but.
This is good podcast.
Yeah, no, it'll be great. Oh, is it not working right now?
He's adding the oil cylinders. Device is not available.
It should be.
I have no idea what you do. You got like what was that? The condensed air and then like no, like hairspray and then like a lighter or something.
Oh man. Okay, that should just.
Methane gas and a lighter is not a flamethrower either.
Sure it is. What are you talking about? Okay, that's not.
Do you consider the flamethrower that Snake
Hold on.
uses on a Big Boss as a?
I was gonna turn on my camera, but I'd have to restart XSplit
Oh well.
because I was gonna show you my quote unquote flamethrower. But it does shoot a flame out, like a blue flame. And
Is it a? Is it one of those lighters that you use on grills?
I mean, you could probably, but not one of those.
Ah.
It is not one of those, because that's basically just a lighter.
Yes.
No, this is shooting out a flame, like a directional flame.
Is this what every Chicago person owns? They
No,
God defrost the road.
there's just a really big kind of question mark on what's really considered a flamethrower. So
Oh, your next item, please. this is not going well. You might as well just take a picture with your iPhone or something and then show them what you got.
my next item that I had
All right.
is triple red shells. That nobody would bother me.
Everything's from Mario with you.
Well, it's the portal gun.
All right.
It'd be great though. You can hop on the highway, and then if nobody would try to cut you off or anything because they don't want to get hit by the red shells, and then if somebody's kind of a jerk, you just fire a red shell. That's great.
Would you go to jail for this?
Maybe if you fired it, but not if
I thought you were gonna
got
say
hit.
maybe if they catch you.
Yeah.
They're
There's
not
that
gonna
too.
wanna. They're not gonna wanna bump into these two left. How do you get in the car though? Very carefully.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Carl, did you think of these 2 weeks ago or just now?
No, I thought of them today.
Yeah, I thought so.
I wasn't in think. I wasn't. My mind wasn't.
I
in the
wasn't
right
in
place.
think.
Yeah, I wasn't in think. Okay.
Brain wasn't on. Okay.
Your turn.
The Metal Gear, the Solid Eye.
Okay, so that's. I feel like we have something pretty much exactly like that.
But it's not an eye patch. That looks cool.
You could.
You could make one. You could make one of most of my stuff on this list. Well, actually, no. Never mind.
So what does the solid eye do again?
Good question. I don't remember. You played 4.
Yeah, I haven't played it in a long time. I know it's.
Yeah, same. I just thought it was a cool thing.
I know you can
All
have
right,
thermal
that's-
vision and night vision with it.
Yeah, I know it augments vision. I just don't remember what it does.
So, all right.
All right, sorry, but I don't know. I always like the looks of eye patches. That's why I don't know. Just a cool character design thing. I like a lot of characters with eye patches. Is what I'm saying.
Fair enough. I just still think that that's a legitimate thing that we could technically have today.
I suppose. All right, I guess some of my other ones are definitely gonna be out there then.
You will never be able to beat this one.
All right,
Ready? Here we go.
here we go.
A fishing rod,
From Animal Crossing?
just in general in video games.
How do I beat that? Wait, where are you going with this?
Because every time I go fishing, it sucks. I'm
Oh,
bad
so-
at fishing. Like a
So
video
you're saying
game,
any video game fishing rod would be better because
yeah,
you don't
or-
have to spend as long.
yeah, I'd always catch stuff. It'd be fun, except for like bass pro fishing or whatever. Even those games are
Oh,
good ones.
easier.
Yeah.
Okay, but let's specify one fishing rod then. You know what's funny? In Okami, there's a fishing minigame, which is I think is really fun. But the thing is, none of their rods have lines, so you have to draw a line to the fish,
Oh,
which I think is pretty funny. I'd say the Animal Crossing one is probably the best
the
bet.
gold one
The
specifically.
golden one.
Yeah.
There's also Harvest Moon has like a goddess fishing rod if you try hard enough.
Try hard enough.
Yeah, because you gotta use it all the time, and it's like it's not the most lucrative source of income. I mean, it is during the winter years, but Carlo Okami went. I
I
don't
don't
know.
even own Okami.
There's a lot of ways you can own it, so
I don't think I own it. That's a good question, actually.
I'd recommend probably the PS4 one.
Sup, Dolly?
Yeah, probably just the Okami one. The Okami one, sorry. Okay. I can't beat that, so everything else I'm gonna say is Tails and Fears. Alright, this one's a little silly. From Sonic the Hedgehog, Shadow Shoes.
The ones that make you fly?
Well, hover.
Okay, that's not a bad
Well,
one.
I mean, it looks cool, doesn't it?
I mean, we have like some hover technology, I guess, but I mean, if
Yeah, but not to the success of Shadow the Hedgehog.
yeah, I mean,
The ultimate
we don't
life
have
form.
anything that's gonna that doesn't require a massive fuel source or whatever in order.
Yeah, like where is it coming from? Like his dark energy. What? I'm actually not sure where the gas is on that, but since it works all the time, we can assume it's endless. Isabel's fishing rod in Smash? Well, you're not catching fish with that.
Yeah, it's no good. We don't want that one.
You're just catching people, and I don't know. Another reason for Carl to go to jail after the red shell incident. Oh, I didn't even think about that one, and that came through.
The red shell incident.
Yeah, I don't. These are kind of just quick and go. Like that's why I have a lot.
All right. My next one that I have is the hook shot. I think that'd be
That's the solid one.
yeah. It's a go-to, honestly. Like if I had a choice between the hook shot and the portal gun, probably the portal gun. But like,
You could use both.
the hook shot.
That's too much maneuverability for one man.
The hook shot, I feel, is more. If the portal gun wasn't a thing, and the hook shot actually worked like it did in Zelda.
I just don't know. The thing I don't know is like, does it hurt Link? Because like you're going really fast, and then you just hit the surface. We can assume no. He doesn't go like, ah, yeah. He just goes, ooh.
Well, he makes a noise when he takes off.
So the thing is, Evening, we're assuming that these fictional items work as they do in the game. So I mean, physics don't really apply. I mean, you
Yeah,
said
I mean-
portal gun.
I mean, realistically, it would be it'd be like tying yourself to a car with a rope.
the only thing that would stop the portal gun from being very effective is if you didn't have the featsy things too with it.
I mean,
Though-
there'd still be quite a bit of effectiveness to it.
Though I realize with the if you had the hook shot and the feetsy thing too, then we just subjugate the pain aspect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the hook shot. I don't know how it works though. Like he clamps his like a switch or trigger or something. Like I just see him shoot it. I never see him
Well,
like.
I think the biggest thing you have to understand is that the hook shot, like if you want to look at it from an actual physical point, I don't think it works like at all. Number one, the design would have to have it needs something. First, it needs something to shoot out, so it needs like a gun aspect, which would require some sort of fuel in order to shoot the thing. However 50 or so yards that it goes. And then it would need to have the drag or the pull element, which would require an enormous engine of some sort in order to pull somebody that weighs either, 150 to 250 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
And
we could just assume it's magical.
And
that kind of just skips everything.
Yeah, and even if it was max weight at like 250, that thing is hardly pulling Link as fast as he is in the game.
Right.
So, Rope Snake is just a whip.
I might have also gone. Oh, the game says it's spring loaded. Maybe, I don't know. There's a lot of variants of the hook shot too. So, I would have gone from Zelda because I didn't actually add anything from there because there's a lot of good items I couldn't decide.
Yeah.
I might say the Deku Leaf, but then the thing with that is that you have to actually have like a source of magic. So it's not like endless.
Yeah.
It has to be recharged at a booth. Yeah, I want to know. I was also thinking the Skull Hammer. Those are the two things I was thinking of because it's like the Master Sword. You can just get that. Though you can't do the beam shoot.
Well, I mean, you can also make a big gigantic hammer too.
Yeah. All right, it's my turn.
Yeah, it is your turn.
All right, here we go. From Shin Megami Tensei. Here, I'm gonna get to the ones that I don't think you'll know too well. SMT, the comp. It's like a keyboard on your little arm thing, and you summon demons with it.
It's just called comp.
Yeah, I forget what it stands for, but it's like this sleek white design, and I think it always looks cool. So you're gonna see me with my Poke Flute in my hand and my comp in the other, playing loud music towards you with my Shadow Shoes and my Solid Eye.
A comp, also known as an ARM terminal, is a device commonly featured in the Megami Tensei franchise. It refers to the portable computer which many characters have used in order to communicate with, transport, and summon demonic entities using the demon summoning program. It kind of sounds like a Pip-Boy in a sense.
Yeah, except the Pip-Boy is not magical.
Right. It's a very expensive Pip-Boy. Or the Pip-Boy is the poor man's comp.
If I wanted anything from Fallout, it would be the Pimp Boy. It's the gold variant. You have to spend a lot of money on, I think. I don't know how that side quest goes, but the perfect item, Cappy. But he's gonna talk to you.
Yeah, that's a
and
person.
is Cappy an item? He's a person. But then again, would owning Flood be an item, or is Flood? Would you say Flood is a person?
Well, I was thinking I had Pokemon on my list, and I wasn't sure if I was going to talk about it or not, specifically because of that.
Yeah, it's a little weird. Like, you want a Pokeball? What are you gonna throw it at a person and be a freak?
Wow, harsh.
Like you would be a murderer.
Okay, I don't think it's that far, but no.
Carl, you have the potential to make the ultimate hell. You have the portal gun, then you have a Pokeball. You capture someone in the Pokeball, and you put them in an endless portal loop. See?
Whatever.
Dangerous. And then me with the tool gun, I could put thrusters on them too.
Whatever.
And my next item is the Gunblade from Final Fantasy VIII.
Whatever.
Okay, what's your next one, boss?
Okay, so let's do that's done. Okay, these are kind of I have like kind of two more left, two depending on how. So the next one I have is an airship / the Enterprise.
All right.
I mean, the Enterprise is self-explanatory, but like an airship from.
You
like,
want the Enterprise just so then you have a silent place to play music.
Yeah. Exactly. Perfect.
Is yours inhabited by people, or is it the one that's like post-destroyed but then remade?
Probably the inhabited one. I'd like a crew for the ship.
And you got Worf going, you have no honor, Carl. You reset the
Worf-
you reset the game.
Worf would be like, man, you have the most honor.
No.
More honor.
Well,
than
actually,
the
he might be. It's
Klingons.
like, you killed all those Pikmin. That's honorable.
Today is a good day to die.
And then Riker's like trying to hit on someone. And you got all the people, and Picard's like, crazy. I like the idea. Yeah, you know what? That could be Hexagon Inc., the Enterprise. As long as we don't have to deal with
So I'm
hostiles.
I'm the Picard, and
Can I be Data?
Data doesn't laugh though.
Well, he acts weird when he's trying to act all human in those human episodes. Okay, fine. Okay, let's go over who would be who in the.
Okay, hold on. Let me.
Can I be O'Hara?
It's not even in the next generation. Okay, so let's define it here.
Chris would be Worf. There we go.
No.
Easy.
No.
Strimmer, you have no honor.
All right, fine. Yeah, okay. That Chris would be Worf.
Wesley.
Wesley's the real question.
Why do I gotta
Logan would be Wesley.
Who's Data?
Evan. Well, okay. So who do we got left? We have Data.
Tom, Katie.
We have LaForge and trying to think if there's anybody else and Riker.
Right.
Okay, so we have based on who we have left here, we have Evan, we have Tom, and we have Brian.
We have Katie.
Well, unfortunately, Katie and Varuna have to battle it out between either being Dr. Crusher or the Deanna Troy. So,
you know what? In that advertisement, you didn't mention Troy at all. Oh, right, because he's not
in the group.
He's got to step up his game.
So,
I'll leave it up to you, boss.
I'm gonna say Evan would probably be the best Data.
That's what I was thinking. In fact, I just said that.
Okay, and then we have Brian and you.
I want to be Worf. Well, but Chris is already Worf.
Yeah.
Can I be Riker?
You two would have to battle for Riker.
Okay. Cause in The Sims, man, you saw that. I was going to town. I was hitting up the ladies.
Yeah, you two can battle for Riker and LaForge. It's fun to have an airship. Yeah. Okay. Next topic or next one. Your turn.
All right. I put Balam. No, I didn't. I put the Estus flask from Dark Souls, but then I thought about it. I have to have a bonfire to replenish it. But you've seen us play Dark Souls enough, right, to know what the Estus flask does?
No.
I know I lost breath there. No?
No, I haven't really been watching, honestly.
It's a.
It's Dark Souls 3. I don't want to spoil.
When you can play it. Okay. Well, anyway, the Estus flask is an item that you could replenish your health with. I think the most you can do it is up to 10 times. And what it does too is it's refillable once you rest at a bonfire. So once you drink the Sunny D, you're feeling good. So I don't know. I just wanted to add a restorative item, and I was thinking the Estus flask is probably my favorite.
Okay.
Good enough. 15 times? Yeah, you're right. It's 15 times because you're supposed to split that between the Estus flask and the Ashen Estus flask, which heals your magic, but I don't have magic. Oh, but what if I paired it with the Deku Leaf? There we go. Now I'm thinking with portals. Okay, that's the Slask. Let's keep going.
All right. And my
Is this your last one?
Yeah, my last one that I have would be a warp star or an air ride. For pretty
So
much.
you warp star to the Enterprise.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. That's perfect. Or I can use the air
So
ride.
we're not talking about the warp star that explodes when you land, right? We're talking about just the Kirby's air ride one, right?
I mean, I'd like. Let's see. It's selective. So if I want it to explode, then I'll have it explode. But I probably won't need it to explode all that often, if at all.
Which warp star do you like the most again? Because I like the glider star the most. You like the wagon, right?
Yeah, I do like the wagon a lot. It's not particularly.
Doesn't let you fly much
yeah,
though.
Not a flyer there.
Also, you'd look kind of stupid driving in town.
I do also enjoy the Hydra quite a bit.
I just like the idea of like you going through Chicago. The warp star really supersedes a lot of like the snow problems that you would have, huh? Because it floats.
Because the podcast title looks stupid when it scrolls. That's why we changed it. And it does.
Well, anyway,
it'd be weird floating or scrolling here. Let's make it scroll. There we go. It looks so dumb.
well, we're doing it.
Okay. So yeah, that's my last one that I really have. No, don't have any others that I can readily think of off the top of my head.
You can think real quickly, but I got like just two left too. So I like mentioning things from Boktai. I would want the Gun Del Sol. You know what it is. I don't need to explain it to you, right?
No.
Okay. Wait, you mean no? I don't need to explain it to you, or
No, I've never heard of this thing.
I thought you played Boktai.
No.
Oh man, I thought we had a conversation. I was like, yeah, it's a fun game. You should play it. Anyway.
We had a conversation on Yakuza.
You're right. I'm surprised I couldn't think of anything I'd want from that. But the Gun Del Sol is a weapon that uses sunlight. It's basically the main weapon of the game. I really like the design of it, and I don't know, having a gun where you live in California and it's sunny all the time would be kind of helpful. Well, I wouldn't carry it around town because that's debatable whether or not that's that's allowed. But I mean, like, I don't know, it just looks cool. I guess it's another mantelpiece is what it's going down to. Is it scrolling over the box? Okay.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, and then the last one is the Dragon Slayer from Berserk. It's a big hunk of steel that the main character uses to slay monsters. It's a really big weapon. It would look really good over my fireplace.
So
That's it.
Basically, it's a hammer then.
No, it's a sword, but one of the quotes is like, it's so large and like hunky that you can barely define it as a sword. That's a line. Even though it was made by a blacksmith and the main mode of action is slicing and stabbing. Yeah. But yeah, those two are just kind of like things I'd like to have on my shelf, I guess. I do. On your list though, let's. Which one would you put at the top? Like the one you want on the most.
I would probably. I mean, realistically speaking, I'd probably take either Enterprise. Because it's got replicators and stuff.
Yeah. And you can teleport there, like, and you get to hear the sound effect, the
yeah, so I could just replicate all this stuff and be done with it.
I'll maybe. I was thinking the tool gun or the Estus flask. I don't know. I've always wanted to own one, and in the Dark Souls 3 Collector's Edition, they had a really bad one. Like it was this like cast thing that's like rubbery. It's not glass. It's kind of disappointment.
Yeah.
But I'll use the tool gun and then I'll weld the Enterprise to the to the ground, and then you'll hear the Gmod physics noise. I think I just want the tool gun to hear the G5. But yeah, that's all.
That's everything. I can't think
That's
of anything
everything I
else.
have. Maybe the Pokédex, but I don't know. Like, because I get the feeling you'd use the Pokédex and not Poke. No, that wouldn't make sense. Never mind. Take that back. I was just trying to think of honorable mentions.
You need Pokemon to use the Pokedex.
The dual disc from Yu-Gi-Oh, maybe. if it actually like summons the thing, and then when you beat a guy, there's a big old flash of light, and they go, ugh!
I mean,
And then
I would argue that that's probably closer than anything else because VR and stuff.
yeah.
At some point, I truly believe in the next 5 to 10 years, I would hope Nintendo. I'm gonna have a real. Hold on, let me turn the music off. Nintendo. Let's talk about something really quick here. I know you guys have made a lot over the years. All right, you guys have done some great stuff. We're not angry, but a VR Pokemon game is in your future. You know it to be true. Do not deny this. It would be brilliant. Nothing says excitement like either sitting in the spectators wearing a VR helmet or being on the stand fighting with VR Pokemon. There's not hardly anything that you need to do. You need 4 buttons on the in front of you to choose moves, and that's it. It's not
This
that
is
hard.
not the VR you're searching for.
This is not that hard. You got this, guys. I firmly believe. Okay.
Well, I had more on my list, but I realized a lot of it was like anime, and I was like, oh, that's gonna fly over Carl's head, and I don't want to bother explaining some of it. So most of it was just video. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, like a Pokemon Stadium VR game.
Oh, that would be cool.
Exactly.
No, I'm not. I didn't disagree to begin with. It would really make tournaments look nicer.
Like-
I think tournaments like with any kind of game like that, the spectacle would be better if you could have stuff like that, like the Yu-Gi-Oh one, like I just said.
Yeah, like an adventure Pokemon game for VR would probably be kind of weird and messed up, but like a Pokemon Stadium kind of game, I think would be perfect.
I think just for the spectacle of it, rather than like it being kind of a cool thing to.
They could do Yu-Gi-Oh as well.
Yeah. Pokemon Snap VR.
Actually,
I want the apple
realistically-
from Pokemon Snap. That's my
Realistically,
number 10.
that could be done as well. That could probably be done now.
Yeah, like Photo Finder. There's Chibi Robo Photo Finder, and like you have to find objects that match the thing. So
Well, I'm just thinking that like it probably wouldn't take long to recreate the game in like Unreal Engine, and instead of you just remap the keys to what your head looks around at. Like
yeah, and I was thinking too, like that could also be augmented reality, is what I'm talking about, because we're getting closer and closer where like computers can identify anything. From a picture.
you don't even need to really remake Pokemon Snap. You could just literally copy and paste it, and then just it'd be perfectly great.
We should make our own Pokemon Snap game where it's just all Waluigi, but it's different versions of him. Like here's the Rose Waluigi. Nice. You were close. But I think that's all we have to say about the podcast today.
Yeah, I don't have anything else. The coming up this
you got-
week is we should finish Final Fantasy VIII. I don't see any reason why we wouldn't. I say that with unassured confidence, but you know, I have no idea how far into World of Light I am for Super Smash Bros. So we may be at that for another week and a half.
I said about when someone asked, I was like, yeah, about 15%. Then again, I haven't beaten it either, but I'm definitely a little much farther, but not too far either. I'm probably like 60% through the game, 50. So I mean, you still have a notable road ahead of you because there's all those dungeons too.
Yeah.
And then next Speedy Sunday, we'll think about it on Sunday, next Sunday.
Yeah. Exactly. Next Sunday.
I'm just gonna say this every time I suggest like Ice Climb was like, yeah, I don't feel like doing it. It's like, then why'd you ask me what you want to play? Are we seeing another Katie stream on Wednesday too, or is that up in the air?
I think we'll probably stream on Wednesday.
All right. Maybe I'll stream this week. I'm not sure yet. I'm trying to figure out something. I would probably stream Game Dev Tycoon though, since I mentioned that last time. And it'd be fun to make games poorly. But yeah, I think we'll end it here.
How's the RPG coming along?
Oh, I already talked about that. I'm doing a Ren'Py thing to help me work on that. Hopefully,
so you can better the RPG.
Yeah. Well, I've also been thinking of some things, so I'll just spoil something real quick, because I wanted to add duel in, Zell's move. But I was like, how do I do this? And then I thought of it. Chris is the fisticuff character in the group, and what his move will be called is Word Worm, like bookworm. And you have 3 seconds to pick between 3 options which one is spelled correctly, the name of a move, right? And then that's how you attack. So I think that'll go well. I mean, I'm thinking of ideas for the RPG, but I'm kind of at a standstill because I think I need more people submitting, what they want to be in the game. That way, I have a better idea of where to go forward, as opposed to where can I stick them in later.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is why I don't know. But then again, I haven't been updating it, so I guess there isn't a big appeal to it. Are you expanding? I can't. Well, that's all I have to say.
All right,
Jarl?
People, thanks for coming out tonight. I hope you enjoyed tonight's stream. I'll see you guys tomorrow at the normal time.
Will I? Will I be there tomorrow at the normal time? I don't know. I have to see what I'm doing tomorrow. I'm thinking that. I only noticed that now.